Good evening, friends. Thank you for being here. For our viewers, if you're just starting with us, please let us know in the chat where are you joining us from. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Anna Zugari, and I'm just a basic girl with a little extra by bringing a guest and speaking of their gifts and talents and bringing blessings to you and learning something out of this conversation. So today I have an amazing guest that he doesn't know that I know him for a while because I've been listening to his podcast. To me, it's like super familiar, but I just met him, and I feel like it's God connected us because there is this common denominator about the topic that we're going to talk today. So with any further ado, I want to do a little introduction. I'm going to read my notes, okay? So bear with me. And don't forget to let us know in the chat where you're watching us and say hi. Marcus, hello. Thank you for being here. Tech troublemaker, how are you? Very good. South Carolina. And Troy is saying hi to Marcus. Okay, so let's go back to Tom. So Tom Bump is a veteran ministry leader of 30 plus years who served in various size churches from 50 to 5,000. He is the founder lead coach with restoringleaders.org and kmccoach.net. He helps leaders heal from hurts and find restoration from burnout. He also hosts the Kids Ministry Collective podcast and Facebook group, whose purpose is to help equip, encourage, and challenge leaders to take their leadership and ministry to a higher level. He is also the author of Valleys Over Mountains, a guide through the hard seasons. I think I need a copy. And he also is a keynote speaker at a ministry conferences and a breakout presenter. So with that big of a career, you don't say curriculum. How do you say in, background? Here it is, my new friend, Tom Bump. Hi, Tom.
Good. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Thank you for being here. I got something for you, always for my guests. A little
Oh, hey,
confetti.
the confetti. There we go. As long as it's
Yes.
not glitter. I don't do glitter. I'll do confetti.
Right. And you don't have to clean it up,
And
I
I
can
don't have
just
to clean up. That's even better.
press press a button and then it's gone. Yeah. So welcome everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being here. Tom,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. It's such a pleasure, and I am just in a very, very honor that you're here.
Oh,
So because time flies when you're having fun. I want to start the conversation right away.
all right.
So it's summer. And for friends that are familiar with children's ministry, we know that summer and Christmas, I think. It's the biggest time where we're like running around, and there's so many things that a person that works at a church takes care of that, regular parents don't know that goes behind the scenes.
Right.
And I've met personally a few ministry leaders that after summer they're just like, I'm done. And you see a lot of people
Mhm.
quitting, and you see a lot of people like, okay, I need to go away for a while. I love children, but I need a break. So can you talk to us a little bit about how do you feel about children's ministry during the summer? What have you seen? What have you heard?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's there's no doubt it's a different season, a different kind of busy season. I'll put it that way. I don't know in children's ministry in all my years of children's student family ministry if I've ever had a down season. It just changes seasons.
Hmm.
But there are some seasons where it's definitely more intense. It's definitely the workload feels like it's increased, or the stakes might feel a little higher than normal. And so, yeah, I think summertime can be one of those where you're not only maintaining what's going on in summer, but then there's a lot of extra activities that usually get plugged into churches. that just can wear you down and wear you out. There's no doubt about it. And then, obviously you've got volunteers going off on vacation. I used to work in a community where everybody hit I-75 and went straight north up to the lake and left me at church with 60 kids on my own.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a reality. And not to mention that a lot of the ministry leaders are also moms. So they have to
Mhm.
take care of their own kids.
Yes.
And like when I used to work at a church and my daughters were little, I had to drag them with me all
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
And there's rumors out there about children's ministry leaders kids, that are the worst.
Well,
So
I say that because we hang out with the elders and deacons' kids because I'm a pastor's kid. So I
mhm,
lived at the church a lot.
gotcha.
And my mom was the 24-hour daycare provider, and teacher and principal and warrant officer, you name it. She carried the
Yeah,
label. To
yeah.
crowd control monitor, with all of us kids. But
Hmm.
they also got us involved, and
Right.
I did that with I've got 4 kids. They're all young adults now, and I tried to invite them to come join
Hmm.
me. I never wanted to make them feel like I was dragging them into something,
Hmm.
but they
Hmm.
also got extra perks for it too. So
Right.
I always
That's
made
true.
sure that when we got inflatables in, my kids and the other staff kids got extra time on them.
That's true.
I wanted to bless them,
Yeah.
because they are giving a lot and they have to give up their parents
Hmm.
sometimes for a while. So I made
That's
sure
true.
my kids and other staff kids always had the extra. They got the extra cotton candy that was left over. They got the extra inflatable time. Yeah, they get them perks too. We just kept it
Yeah.
hush hush.
Right, right. That's true too. Yes, yes, absolutely. But so we talk about summer. It's a busy season, and because all the things that a leader in the church has to take care of during those times, how can they avoid burnt out during that time? And
Mm,
what are some things that you can tell us that can help our friends watching, like say, okay, even recognizing that they're burnt out, because there's
yeah,
a lot of times that they don't even recognize it until they're like on their last
yeah,
straw, like, okay, I'm
sure.
leaving now.
Yep,
So
yep. Well, I think one of the biggest things, and this isn't earth shattering, but I think it's important to say and repeat, is you have to lead yourself in the summertime too,
mm,
which means spiritual disciplines can't take a back seat in the busy season,
mm-hmm,
because when we ignore ourselves spiritually, uh, we can become dry, and therefore that dryness leads towards burnout. A lot
yeah,
of times when I'm working with leaders and walking with them in a mentoring journey, one of the things I ask is what caused them to get to this place. And oftentimes they name off all the tasks and all these kind of things. And I said, but what about your spiritual disciplines? How much time do you
mm,
spend worshiping on your own? Not, I know most
mm-hmm,
of us can't get to the services. I get that.
mm-hmm,
A lot of my summers, especially when I was serving in smaller churches, it was me and 50, 60 kids. And so I didn't get a weekend off. And I had to make sure, I learned the hard way, I'll put it that way, that
mm-hmm,
I had to maintain my spiritual disciplines. I needed to worship on my own. I needed to spend time alone with my Father in heaven, just like Jesus would do after his busy season. He would go away on his own. And so I've learned the hard way, but now I'm
mm-hmm,
following Jesus closer than I've ever followed. And now I try to mentor that to other people to say, you need to get some solitude time. So work on solitude, on stillness, on sitting in silence, on worship, on reading the word for yourself, not just for preparing a lesson.
mm-hmm,
So I think that's one big thing. I think two, you've got to rest. You cannot cheat yourself.
mm,
If you cheat yourself, it's going to catch up with you.
yeah,
And when it does, it's probably going to be ugly. Uh,
mm-hmm.
and the consequences You're going to have physical consequences, emotional consequences, relational consequences. When we're tired, when we're worn down, we're not our best. And so it can affect us even professionally. So I tell people, look, if you want to avoid burnout or the symptoms of or the other consequences of it, you do need to make sure you're watching your disciplines and that you're resting. And I say it all the time. I've said it on the podcast a million times. I say it in every seminar and every speaking opportunity I get is, if you think you're better than Jesus, don't ever take a nap and don't rest. Because Jesus took
Right.
naps, right? He rested. And you're not better than Jesus. I'm not better than Jesus. And I say that in love to anybody watching and listening. I'm not better than him, and neither are you. So who are you to think you don't have to rest? I had a leader tell me, "Oh, I'll rest when I'm dead." And I said, "You know what? You may find that sooner than later if you keep going the way you're going."
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
scary, but I've seen
Right.
some people do that.
Yeah.
I've heard people tell me, "Well, I'd rather wear out than rust out."
Mm.
What? What? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rust actually slows you down just a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I don't think that's so anyway, resting is something you cannot and should not cheat yourself out of. And I
Yeah.
think the last thing is that even in the busy season, you've got to find what I call the GSP, the godly sustainable pace. And you got to lead from that, which means focusing on the things that only you are created to do, that you are called to do, that you are wired to do. When you stay in that sweet spot, we stay energized. We stay, we maintain our disciplines. We rest. When we're in our GSP, we can actually lead at a high capacity, and you can run hard for longer than you think because you're maintaining these things the right way. You're staying in this place that God gives you. The problem is, and what causes burnout in the summertime, is most of us leaders do things we're not supposed to be doing, things that we could have delegated, or maybe
Yeah.
we could have managed our time better. So I think those are the things that you need to focus on, is focus on you. Stop comparing yourself to the churches around you, or stop comparing
Yes.
what you do to somebody on Facebook.
Yeah.
They may have the $1 million stage for Vacation Bible
Mhm.
School, and you've got all the cardboard painted up. But you know what? In the scope of eternity, it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
But if you lead,
Exactly.
if you do that cardboard stuff and you save yourself the time and energy and money, and you've got a set that looks nice, and the kids come in and they hear Jesus, and they get to see Jesus, and they get to come into a relationship with Jesus, it's not going to matter whether you had the $5 boxes set versus the
Yes.
$30,000 big
Yeah.
screen things,
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
we get into this habit, and where it pushes us towards burnout is when we start comparing ourselves
Mm.
to Facebook, to Instagram. Stop it. Just stop
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes, that is so true. And I think that like my friends in the chat, they are not in the ministry industry, if you would. But I think the principles that you are sharing, or the ideas that you're sharing, applies in every industry,
Yes.
in every
Everywhere.
level, at every,
Absolutely.
So it is important that we pay attention to where we're called, and I
Yep.
think that is where was it,
GSP. Yep.
GSP?
Godly sustainable pace.
Yes, I love that because, my friends here are content creators, and I've seen them, like, when they're live, and including me, we just go and go, and we get the adrenaline of, like,
Yeah.
okay, because this is what we are called to do. This is something
Yep.
that we enjoy, and we just love it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and Mark is saying it does apply 100%. Yes,
Good.
of
I'm
course.
glad to
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think these are transferable principles. Yeah. Whether you're in ministry
Mhm.
or alongside of ministry, everybody needs to find their sweet spot, find what they love, but then monitor themselves and make sure that they're
Yeah.
doing things in a manageable way. Because, yeah, even Yeah,
Yeah,
not
that's
GPS. Yeah.
GPS.
Yeah, you can get lost if you don't
Right.
have your GSP,
GP. That's great. Yeah, you made a
and you'll get lost
um,
faster when you don't have
right.
a GSP. There we go. I like that. I'm gonna use
Yeah.
that. Thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah. You got a saying now.
Mm.
I love it.
Mm.
Yeah. So that is, I think it's really important. And yeah, when we talk about leadership
Yep.
in any industry. But I also wanted to touch a little bit that you know, a lot of people, when they go to church, and especially during the summer, parents and grandparents,
Mhm.
they're just and they just go drop off the kids, right? And when I led a few Bible school or BBS, I would get these comments from the volunteers. It's like, oh my goodness, they think this is a holy daycare. And why are they just dropping off the kids? And like, and you have to create a culture around your team and your volunteers, and saying like, hey man, we're just here. We have to take these kids and do the best we
That's
can. Like
right.
if they call it, the parents are just like, okay, I need a break, so just take them for 4 hours or
Yeah.
whatever the time it is. You come to that. So how can the leader create that ripple effect to the team? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I am like invested 100% now, but my team is burnt out. How can I
Yeah.
create that
Well,
environment for them too?
yeah. Well, again, I'm going to say it because it's worth repeating that you, as a leader, have to model for your team.
Mm,
Oftentimes, unhealthy leaders make unhealthy teams, which create unhealthy ministries. So, flip that. A healthy
mm,
leader makes healthy teams, which creates healthy ministries.
yeah.
So, we have to help them as we help ourselves learn to model and live the way Jesus lived. You ever
Mhm,
notice in the scriptures that Jesus never ran anywhere? He never jumped in a chariot. The only time he rode to the donkey was his to his death.
the
I
entrance, yeah.
mean, and even that wasn't a fast walk because the
Right.
street was so crowded. It had to have been very, very slow paced.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere Jesus walked, that's a modeling thing for us, that we're so driven, especially us Western Americans. We're high drive, high capacity. We got to go, 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 go.
Yes.
And you know what? If we as leaders would model a slower pace,
Mm-hmm.
slower instead of rushing and the tyranny of the urgent all of the time, if we would slow down and become more people centric than program driven, it would be a game changer for a lot of people. And honestly, when it comes to what the scenario you were talking about, I want to be that kind of lighthouse and that kind of that haven for children. If I can serve parents by taking care of their kids for 4 hours during my Bible school, I'm all for it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if they think of us as childcare. Now, granted, I know some children's leaders go crazy hearing that. I
Mm-hmm.
get the idea. I don't want to be treated like a childcare, but I understand what's happening is these
Yeah.
parents may need a break. It may, for a single mom, this 4 hours could allow her to breathe and to exhale, and it could be the greatest ministry she
Mm-hmm.
ever experiences and the closest touch to Jesus she's ever had. And if I can serve her children and show them love and give them some snacks and treats and help them have some fun, why not? And
Right.
so I think we can help our teams from burning out when we sow that kind of big vision and reflip the script to say, hey, look, we're just modeling what Jesus did. He cared for
Mm-hmm.
people even when it was inconvenient, even when he was a little tired, and even when he got crowded. Well, he just stepped into a boat and said, push back a little bit, give me a little space here.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were times where he put up his boundary and he said, you know what, send them away, and I'm going up to the mountain to pray and rest and rejuvenate. So we can do those kind of things for our team. So we've got to give our teams opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And we've even got to give our parents that opportunity to rest
Right.
like Jesus did.
Mm-hmm.
Every season that's hard and busy has to have an end date. If it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
there's a real push that you're going to
Yeah.
You're going to use your GSP and your GPS to go right straight to burnout.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so you can help your team, and I think one other thing, and this is going to sound crazy, but we've got to give families and even our volunteers permission to miss some things, to say no
Mm.
to during the summertime.
Mhm.
As well as we have to do that for ourselves. So we need to take vacations, we need to take breaks, guard our days off, all those kind of things. But sometimes we get really offended that everybody takes off. And I used
Right.
to get frustrated with everybody going
Mhm.
camping, and here I am. But you know what? I also realize those parents are running hard too.
Mm.
They're running on fumes.
Yeah.
And if I can love them by serving their children while they get a break, I'm all for it.
Mhm.
And so I
Yes.
help my teams figure that out too, to say, hey, if you need a break, tell me. I'll make sure
Mhm.
you get a break. I want you to
Mhm.
have that space. I care about who you are, not what you do for me.
Mm.
And I think if
Mhm.
we all treated each other that way, it would
Oh,
be a lot kinder world.
yeah.
It would be a lot more less burnout in all
Mhm.
industries if we allowed ourselves that space to slow down, to not run so hard, to everybody take a breath. I think there's other countries that get this better than we do here in
Yeah.
America. That because, like I said, we're just drive, 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 drive.
Right, just like Marcus, and he's in another country, and he's putting the mark right there. Slow and steady wins the race. I
Yes,
believe it. So,
absolutely.
yeah, those are great points right there. I mean, like I said, it's yes, Marcus is about loving people. I think that's
Yeah,
the
that's right.
key right
Absolutely.
there. Love,
And we
right?
love them by
Love.
serving them, right? Giving them that
Yes,
space, letting them rest
yes.
too, modeling it for them,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to repeat what they see from us.
Yeah. So the leader sets the tone right there.
Mhm.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, Tom, one last question to
Mhm.
see, that maybe we can help people because how can we as parents and congregation and people from outside the ministry support those ministry leaders
Mm.
not to get burned out, like you're being on both sides, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
what can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I mean, I serve as a volunteer right now in my local church. So I
Mm,
serve my children's pastor.
yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. If you're not a leader, if you're a layperson, one of the best gifts you can give is show up even when you're not scheduled.
Mm,
That's one of the things I try to do for my children's pastor. I'll pop in and say, hey, I'm here. Do you need me? He'll either
mm,
say yep or nope.
mhm,
If he
mhm,
doesn't need me, I can take off. If he needs me, sometimes during the week, I even will say, hey, I'm available this weekend. Are you short? Do you need some help? Whether he puts me up on the stage as a large group presenter or puts me in a small group,
mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I think people could do that and give a great
Mm,
gift to their children's leader,
yes.
stepping in and volunteering and saying yes to when there's a need.
Yeah.
But don't wait for them to ask you. It would
Right.
be a huge gift if you would just show
Mm,
up or give your
yeah.
your leader a message and say, "Hey, I'm willing to do 3 weeks this summer." If
Mhm,
more parents did that during the summer and gave the fall team a break during the
mhm,
summer, it's a wonderful gift, and they can serve your children in a greater
mm,
way, in a more
yeah.
refreshed way. I started doing that with my teams. Is we
Mhm,
actually asked our small group leaders to serve from September to May, really last week of May, first week of June,
mhm,
and then the 8 weeks, June and July. We said you're not allowed anywhere near the children's ministry
mm,
area. And we
mhm,
just changed the way we did the programming, but we invited parents to step in, and we
mhm,
gave them very simple roles. We gave them some real quick training. It was simple, it was easy, it was fun. Parents had a blast. The kids loved having their own
mm,
parents in the
yeah.
room,
Yes.
watching them sing and dance and jump around and then sit and read the Bible with them and their
Mhm,
friends. They absolutely love it. So I think
yeah.
if parents, grandparents can jump in, grandparents
Mhm,
especially jump in.
mhm,
Age is just a number, and the
right.
kids, some kids don't have any grandparents around,
Mhm,
and so you can be a spiritual grandparent to a child
mm,
and
yeah,
change their direction in
exactly.
such amazing ways. So I
Yeah.
think if parents and volunteers would just do those couple simple things, letting
Mhm.
their leader know that they're praying for them. But honestly, the best gift they could give is stepping in and saying, "Hey, I'm here. How can I help?" Maybe you don't
Mhm.
want to work directly with kids, so maybe it's I'll cut anything
Right.
out. You just make
Exactly.
copies. I'll cut stuff out. I had
Mhm.
a crew of grandmas that they love to cut stuff out. I
Mhm.
hate cutting things out. My
Right.
fingers get
Yeah.
sore.
Prepare the beans with the Play-Doh and, like, do
Ah,
all the
yes.
that's a
Counting all
blessing,
that
that's
stuff
true, yeah.
out and organizing it, oh, it
'Cause
gives me
how
hives.
many times do you hear also, like, from parents or uncles or aunts, like, "Oh, me and kids, no, I can't." But there are other ways that they can step up
Yep,
and help. Yeah,
yep.
you're right,
Well, and a lot of
totally.
times they just have the wrong idea of what we're gonna ask them to do.
Yes,
And I
that's
tell
true
them,
too.
"Look, if you wanna dance
You don't
around,
have
you
to
don't have
change
to dance
diapers.
around. You don't have to change diapers." No,
Yeah,
there are some people that just don't hey, you don't have to. In fact, I'll put you in a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old room, you won't have to touch them.
yeah,
Or you can work with the older kids. But
mhm,
yeah, you don't have to sing and dance and be totally goofy, just be you, come
yeah,
hang out, talk to them. You don't even have to
that's
sit
right.
on the floor. I'll get you a chair if you don't wanna even
Yeah,
get down on the floor with them.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think some people just get scared because they think
mhm.
children's ministry is, they're gonna get covered in runny nose or something, and nobody likes that, uh,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
honestly, it's not like that, so
Right, right. So, I mean, there has so much, I know that 30 minutes is not enough, but I hope that our friends and if you're watching in the replay, please let us know you're watching on the replay and
um,
for the friends that's still here. I hope that this information has helped you, has give you things to think about, motivate you to step
mhm,
up in your own community and find places. It doesn't really have to be a church, but maybe you're inclined to volunteer somewhere else. Just
mhm,
step up and help out, because there's leaders everywhere that are
that's right.
easily burning out, and especially here in Texas because we're 102 degrees. So it's
Oh,
just like, oh, we're
okay.
burning out.
I'll stay up here in the North in Ohio.
Right. Yes. I am jealous. Jealous. Thank you, Marcus. This is so inspiring. Thank you
Oh,
so
good.
much. So, Tom, usually for my friends that are here in the chat and in the interview, I have 5 rapid fire questions just for fun
Oh,
at the end
boy.
of the show. Are you up for that?
Alright, let's do it.
Let me bring the wheel. It's not a fortune, but I need to find a name for my wheel. There
Oh,
we go. Here we go. So the wheel is going to pick the question. Okay. So you ready?
the wheel of random questions.
Yes. Oh, there you
Semi-random
go.
questions.
Yes.
Oh, boy, here we
So
go.
we'll see what that comes with. Is tell us a dad
Oh, no.
joke.
Oh, no. You know, I do more puns than dad jokes. Okay. I mean, this is
Tell us
terrible,
so.
but I do impressions,
Okay.
um, for a dad joke. Okay, let's see if I can do this on camera. Um, yeah, I can't quite lay down. Well, yeah, I can't really lay down, but yeah, it was a speed bump. Um,
Oh,
all right.
gotcha.
Bump
That
on a
was funny.
log? I mean, my chair's not wooden, so I can't do it. I
No,
need to learn some dad jokes though. I
that
do a lot
was
of puns. When
funny.
you're
That
out
was
with your honey
funny.
and your nose gets runny and you think it's funny, it's not. I mean, I do stuff
Ah!
like that.
Well, you
That's
did good.
terrible.
You did good. So I'm not that I'm giving points, but you will get a point for that one.
All right.
And here's
Yay.
question number two.
Okay.
All
Ready?
right. Tube or TV?
I'm old. TV. I don't yeah.
Really?
Yep. I don't
Okay.
do a ton of YouTube. I'm
That's
still plugged in.
acceptable. That- that's okay. There's still TVs out there. I don't
Yep.
watch TV, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
watch like like Survivor and Amazing Race, those kind of
Yeah,
things. Yep.
gotcha,
Yep.
gotcha. Well, I watch CBN, 700 Club. And that's what as much as watch on TV. Because the next one, would you rather find your dream job or win the lottery? Friends in the chat, let us know your answers too.
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious. You know what? I'm doing my dream job. This is really what I love to do, and
Wow.
even though I'm not making, I'm not
Even though you're not
extremely
a
wealthy.
millionaire.
I'm not, but I love doing what I do. So
Yes, that's
I got my
awesome.
dream job.
So, there's that quote that when you're doing what you love, you don't work a day,
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
dish do you cook best?
Best. Um, takeout? No.
Chinese? Yeah.
You know what? I got a griddle for Christmas, and so like fajitas on the griddle. Yep.
Yeah, that's easy and good, good, good. Awesome. We need to come to fajitas at your house. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I love these questions. Um, oh man. Oh, Sweet Caroline. I don't know.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
I
What?
don't sing karaoke very often. So
Well, that is a very a classic,
yeah. I guess when
right?
that comes on at a
Yeah.
stadium, I'm singing
Yeah.
with it. So badly, but I'm singing with it.
No. Last one
Have a
from
kid
kids, so you
candy.
can have it.
Um, yeah, but I think the most effective way is doing the dad tax. That when the kids got Easter candy or trick or treat
Oh,
candy, there was a dad tax.
yeah.
So it was one for you, three for me. I mean, when they were
That's
younger, I could get away with
awesome.
that. The older
Yeah,
they got, it had to go down to one to
yeah.
one, and then
Yeah.
it became, "Are you going to give me anything?" I had to
Right.
turn into a beggar. So
That's so
that's
funny.
when it became, I'm going to hide some stuff. Bohemian
Marcus,
Rhapsody.
that's your
Oh,
karaoke
I'd like to.
song?
Can we
Yeah.
get Marcus on the screen? I want to hear that.
Right. Yes, we will. I totally would love to hear you. And Marcus does
Mm.
really good singing. He does. He's a streamer too. So in his show, he
I'm gonna
dances
find
and
his
he sings.
stream because
Oh
I want to
yes,
hear that.
he does great interviews as well, content creation. So he's a really good friend.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
so I hope you have fun, Tom.
I
I
did.
did, and this has been a blessing, not just for me, but I hope for Marcus too, and for everybody else that will watch this later, because
Thank you.
all the information that you have shared with us has been really awesome. And I'm just gonna put it here again. But
Thank you.
this
Yep.
is where you can connect with
Yep.
Tom. Make sure that you do. You can also leave your comments in there, questions, and we'll make sure that Tom gets tagged on it.
Yeah.
And check out the podcast. I did not pull out the name of your podcast.
Yep. If they just search Kids Ministry Collective,
Okay.
you can find it on any platform. And we'll be
Yes.
starting a Restoring Leaders one soon. Restoring Leaders
Awesome.
podcast is coming.
Awesome.
It's in the works,
Great.
in production, but not quite
Perfect.
there. But yeah, the
Well,
Kid Ministry Collective, they can find it. New episodes go every Monday.
yeah, that's
So
awesome.
most every
And
Monday.
after you listen, so basic with a little extra, go check out his podcast because it's really, I have it on my playlist.
Oh,
It,
thank
it
you.
comes into my podcast list automatically, and I listen to it, and it's just really awesome, really good material, really
Yeah.
very helpful. Like I'm not working at a church anymore, but if I was like, okay, I will make you my regular listen because
Oh,
there's
thank
so
you.
much in there. So I absolutely recommend it. So
Honored.
again, Tom, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I hope that we can do this again. Maybe our next interview could be about podcasting and
Yeah.
content creation.
Yeah. We
So
might have to do that because that'd make a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a really great conversation before we started the show about content creation. I was like, oh, this would be great. So appreciate you very much, friends.
Thank
Again,
you,
thank you
Anna.
so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Just don't forget to love Jesus, obey
Uh,
Jesus, and tell everyone about him. So I'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.